All right, everybody, we're back with another Cabral HouseCall, second of the weekend. Hopefully you got to tune in yesterday. It was a great show, of course, from the community. They asked on everything from bladder polyps to issues with the brows dropping as they're getting older, the eyes looking a little bit more hollow, as well as a bulbous-based nose and its particular connections with certain foods. We talked about a supraventricular tachycardia, how we can help potentially there. We talked about an aneurysm, aortic aneurysm, and we also talked about neuropathy, prediabetes, and lack of sleep. Today, I'm just opening up, scrolling down on the document. We've got another great show for you. I have no doubt today, as I like to say, no prep work is done for the show. I'd love to be able to take your questions as they come in and really just answer them as if we were to bump into each other, at the Reimagine Health Summit or a seminar or whatever it might be, and I'm able to give you my honest answer as to what you may be missing. So let's dive right into it. If you want to follow along with today's show, it's at stephencabral.com/3257. All right. First question is from Anonymous, and Anonymous says, "Hi, Dr. Cabral. I have a question about fat pads, like Sacral Fat Pads and the buffalo humps specifically. I have read that diet and exercise hardly makes a difference for these, and liposuction seems to be the only thing that comes to get rid of them. I understand we all store fat differently, but I'm curious about these specifically. Do you know if loss of body fat gets rid of these? Mine have gotten worse over a few years, and despite losing some weight, maybe not enough yet, these areas don't seem to change. I'm a pretty petite person, but I do have some excess fat I'd like to get rid of. This area troubles me, and I feel like I'm hopeless that they don't change even with weight loss." All right. So there are multiple factors for what you're calling the fat pads or buffalo humps, right? So basically fat deposits could be around the lower back. It could be, around the glutes area. It could be up on the neck. That's typically where people are talking about. Now, I know what you said is that, well, this is only due to typically or weight gain or genetics or whatever it might be. But there's actually other factors with this that I wanted to share with you because I've researched this before in the past, and I have found that higher levels of cortisol, so higher levels of stress can cause it. Poor biomechanical posture over time may have an influence in it. Higher levels of inflammation, almost like anything else, can be a factor, as well as low thyroid and estrogen dominance. So I know it's multifactorial. I know that there's a bunch of different reasons, but there is actually like one main test that you can run that would look at most of those, and it's called the stress, mood, and metabolism test. So the first part of that test will show you estrogen, if you're estrogen dominance. Then it will look at cortisol levels. So it will look at your cortisol throughout the day. It's a saliva test. And then it will look at your thyroid. That's a little finger prick. That's it. And that will look at your thyroid levels. Then it will go down and check your blood sugar levels, hemoglobin A1C, and it will look at vitamin D. So if you only ran one lab, that would be the lab that I recommend. Of course, if you can run the Big Five, always run the Big Five. I mean, it's going to give you all the information you need. If you've never heard about the Big Five, please do check it out at stephencabral.com/big and the number 5. It'll take you right over to EqualLife. Or you can always just search it there as well. So that is my recommendation. Yes, let's lose the body fat, like any excess body fat that you want to lose. Let's also, though, make sure we take care of the hormones before we do anything more drastic that can't be taken back. All right. So that would be my, again, I can't provide any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnosis, but I'm giving you the exact recommendation that I would give a family member. Okay. And of course, those people in my practice. Chelsea's up next. Hi, Stephen. Thank you for all the information and knowledge. I've recently developed dry, cracked skin in between my fingers and a lot of bumps on my upper back and shoulders. I can't seem to pop the bumps. It's not like they're pimples. I thought the cracking in between my fingers was potentially a fungus like athlete's foot, but I tried yeast infection creams and it didn't seem to help. This might be too much information, but I'm also very itchy in my genitals. However, test results came back negative for yeast infection or STDs. This has all started at the same time. Could it be related to my gut? Is this a histamine response? I recently did a gut and SIBO test. I get my results on Thursday. I've had SIBO before, but I didn't have these symptoms. Any advice is appreciated. Thanks. Okay, happy to help here. So what I would say is this. I mean, I would always relate a lot of skin-based issues to gut-based issues, but it also can be environmental. So like there's no doubt that it could be dermatitis from new soap that you're using, new conditioner, new bath products. So always do look there, like without a doubt. So look at environmental. But so much of the time, the symptoms you have do mimic candida overgrowth, but they also mimic a form of eczema. So what I would do is I would actually, and I know that you didn't run, I don't think you ran the lab test with us, and that's obviously totally fine. So we'll see what your practitioner says. But I would recommend even something like the 21-day functional medicine detox. You can learn more about that at stephencabral.com/detox. And then going into, call it like the CBO protocol. If you end up finding gut imbalances, that would be amazing. And then topically, so much of what we've seen work is you'll use maybe a little bit of coconut oil as a carrier base oil, and then a couple drops of tea tree oil. And you can use that. Again, I can't give you medical advice, but between the fingers and then on the groin-based area, the upper back and shoulders, it could be a dairy sensitivity. It could be an egg sensitivity. I don't know because I haven't seen photos. I don't know exactly what it looks like. So I can't tell you specifically, but that's where I would start. So I would start with our big 3 gut bundle. But if you already run it, no problem at all. And then if you don't know your food sensitivities, well, I would at least do the 21-day detox to do the elimination of gluten, dairy, and eggs. And then you can slowly try to add them back in and see over a period of weeks if it starts to come back, because it might not be right away. All right. So hopefully that's helpful, Chelsea. Kayla is up next. Hi, Dr. Rawl. Thank you for all that you do. Your podcasts bring me hope and calmness every time. Happy to hear that, Kayla. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, everybody. All right. Kayla says, I'm 33 years old, overall good health, hypothyroidism, which means low thyroid at a 3.6 TSH. Let's see, LP little a's are high, but all other markers are good, such as apolipoprotein B, triglycerides, etc. I recently got my thermography results. Cranial dental thyroid exam, it shows. I still have some inflammation around the sinus, neck, and thyroid, resulting in possible nodules. Last year, I removed 4 cavitation and dead bone, and it seems I may still be infected on my upper left molar. I'm exhausted. I don't think I have the strength for surgery again. Every year, I do the Big 5 labs, and overall, my results are always good, very good, since I continually do yearly protocols. I'm not sure what to do anymore, losing hope, thyroid, neck inflammation. All right. So, here's the issue. If there actually is an infection, we need to fix the infection because that is an underlying root cause. So, get multiple opinions though. So go to multiple biological dentists and find out what is going on. Here's my thermography. Take a look, take a sample if needed. What's going on? Are there any cavitations? Is there any necrosis? Like what's happening? Go see someone good. Research dentists at the IAOMT.org website and ask around for great recommendations. You did the Big 5 and basically your other health markers are great. I love to hear that. Keep doing your protocols. Now we should be able to fix the thyroid though. Like that's the thing. So I don't know what you're doing to improve the thyroid, but I can't recommend enough using the full spectrum magnesium and adrenal soothe at dinner, using the daily thyroid support, 2 at breakfast, 2 at dinner, and then just your omega-3s and your daily nutritional support. Like that's what I would recommend. And we see it work unbelievably in our practice. And if you want, you can also add the thyroid glandular, but you may not need it. So, yeah, hopefully that's helpful. And you can get exact recommendations by running the stress immunometabolism test with Equilife or an Integrative Health Practitioner Level 2. All right. Oh, looks like Kayla has a second question. Kayla says, hi, Dr. Ball. Could you speak more on lipoprotein A? Blood marker. My LPA is 158 and all my other markers are pretty optimal. My question is, what now? How do I live with high LPA if lifestyle doesn't change the marker level? It feels like this will creep up on me. I take omega daily, but there's talk about niacin flush. I just need to speak more of this. I trust your insight. I want to know how to live worry-free. Yeah, so I totally get it. So genetically in my family, everybody's high cholesterol. Both sides. mom and dad. And on my dad's side, genetically low HDL. So I'm going to do, why don't I do this? I'm going to do a whole podcast on it. But you don't want to focus on one marker because that will drive you crazy. It really will. So while lipoprotein A does matter, what I look at, and it's usually attached to ApoB 100, is that I look at a whole heart profile. I'm looking at total cholesterol. I'm looking at LDL. I'm looking at HDL. I'm looking at total cholesterol to HDL ratio, because that matters if your HDL is good. I'm looking at triglycerides. I'm looking at VLDL. I'm looking at apolipoprotein little a, little b, ApoB 100. Like I'm looking at other markers across the board to see, are they all elevated or is it just this one? And if it's this one, what's my overall risk factor? And then, I don't know how old you are. As you get older, I'm looking at a calcium score, or I'm looking at plaque buildup. And if all of these are good, we don't fully understand cholesterol. Some people have a high cholesterol, they have no plaque buildup, and it's never an issue. Only 50% of people who have a heart attack have high cholesterol. The other 50% don't have high cholesterol. So it's not the end all be all. So again, I can't provide you with medical treatment plans, medical cures, medical diagnosis, but I work with like high level deep dive clients and I look at all their blood work and I can tell you for sure, because I look at everything, scans, etc. Some people it really matters a lot for, some people it doesn't. One marker off, not a big deal, but there still are protocols that we can help to lower this. So yes, the diet and exercise matter, right? No doubt about it. Lowering stress matters, lowering cortisol matters, but then we can also look at things like plant sterols, and we can look at like Kyolic garlic, and we can look at, again, you're already doing the omega-3s, the methylated Bs, trimethylglycine for higher levels of homocysteine. Like I don't know your homocysteine levels. So I could go on and on. I've taught literally 2.5-hour seminars on this. And so what I would say is this: if it's one marker, and especially if you're still young, probably not a lot to be worried about, especially at this point. All right? It doesn't mean don't look into it, but I don't want you to be overly worried if everything's looking good. All right, Kelly's up next. Kelly says, "Hi, Dr. Brawl. My husband really started focusing on improving his health over the past 5 years. Annual physicals, routine dentist, exercise bike 30 minutes a day, nicotine-free, homemade meat and veggie meals. The only medication over the last 5 years is high blood pressure. He recently went through a healthy heart screening and found out his calcium score is 39. Is that permanent, or what can he do to get that back down to 0? Okay, great question. So these are good anti-aging longevity questions. We teach, by the way, if you like anti-aging, we teach all of this inside of highperformancehealth.org. Of course, I'd love to have you as a member of that if you're interested, but definitely check it out. So, all right, so let's look at a calcium score, because I work a lot with this. I actually just mentioned it to who? Was it Kayla? Yes, Kayla. And so when we're looking at calcium scores, it is really also dependent upon age. If someone is, let's say they're 79 years old and they come to me. I have 79-year-old clients and they're looking to live to 100 plus. Great. Like if they come to me and they have a calcium score of 39, I'm like, all right, yeah, like understood. But it's mild calcification. It still matters. Like we're definitely going to help them lower it. But I basically say, this is not something that I want you to be overly worried about. We've done your full body MRI. We've looked at the other things. Like we can work with this. Okay. Let's say someone has a score of 39 and they're 39. All right. It's a little higher than I would like for sure. Right? So it kind of matters based on age as well. The younger you are and the higher the score, the more that we need to start to work on this more diligently, because it's probably not going to get lower on its own. All right. So when you're looking at a calcium score, I'll probably do a podcast on this as well. 0 is no calcium or plaque. Tough to be 60 years old and have a 0, right? That's tough. What we want is close to 0 as we can get. So 1 through 10, very low calcium, very low plaque. 11 to 100, mild calcium buildup. It matters, right? Definitely matters. A 39 at 39 years old is a little high for me, that's for sure. 39 at 79, not as high, still mild, right? Then once we get over 100, we're looking at moderate calcification. And when we get above 400, we're looking at severe. I have worked with clients with 300 and above. So they are not only genetically prone, there's also lifestyle factors that they might have been a little remiss on looking at. So here's the good news. People are able to lower their calcium score. Again, I can't give you medical advice, medical treatment plans, using vitamin D3 with K2 So we have a specific product. Not everybody needs the added K2. We have that in the daily nutritional support, but it's vitamin D3 and K2. So we use that, and magnesium. Now there are other factors, but those two are very helpful. I also use a product called proteolytic enzymes, 2 upon waking, 2 before bed, to help go in, especially a nattokinase in there, like a rotor-rooter inside of the arteries. And you can look up nattokinase if you'd like, and it's amazing ability for the heart and arteries as well. Okay, there are so many other factors I could go into, like trimethylglycine, etc., but it's at least a place to start. And also, not to worry, we can begin to lower these scores and make sure they don't raise over time. Look at cortisol levels, look at all other factors, but this is really great to hear that your husband is on our side, right, on the side of health, and is really working on his health. So amazing. Hopefully this was helpful, everybody. I thank you so much, as always, for being a part of this community. You're the best. I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new Cabral concept. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.